Hey guys, it's Jackie from Jack Gets Lost Down a Book Hole, and I thought I would do a tag today. And the tag I'm going to do is film book adaptation wish list book tag, and you have six categories of all the different ways you can adapt a book. You have film, television, cartoon, graphic novel, play, and musical. Now, for film and television, there were quite a few books that I feel like could be adapted. Because, surprisingly, there are still plenty more that could be potentially adapted into a film or a TV show that haven't yet. But first, I'm going to start with the ones that are I only have one for. So first, I'm going to talk about one that I feel like would make a good animated or cartoon adaptation, and that is Labyrinth. Now, it's been a while since I've read this, so I just remember kind of some of the plot and everything, but unfortunately I don't remember the author's name, but it's called Labyrinth. It's a science fiction story, but not super space and time travel and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that I feel like makes it science fiction is that it takes place on a planet, which I did not know when I was reading it. I thought it was like a post-apocalyptic type world or something, but no, from the description I've read on the internet, and that was years ago, so they implied that it was actually on a planet, which like I said, I didn't know. So, but it is the story about, you have the librarians, which are the group of people who believe in the word of books and are very value books and think they're more important than anything, and they live like in all of the priests that value the books and spread the word of books. They live in this big library, and you have our protagonist is someone that she can hear the books, and like literally, and there's a prophecy surrounding her that both the singers and the librarians believe in, but they interpret it very differently. Which, like I said, I mentioned the singers, which are really rascal. My dogs like to roll around in the grass, and we live in a community it's called Pinehurst, so they're known for their pine trees. And unfortunately, my dog likes to roll roll around in the grass, so he's got pine needles all over his back. But anyway, you have the singers, who are the people who value the word of the song. And they worship the song and believe song has more value than words in a book. And they can't read. They're illiterate. That's one of the big things in this world is the illiterate people, and the literate people. If those who can read and those who can't read. And those who can't read are seen as the lesser ones, while those who can read are the more highly valued people. And so a group of singers kidnap our protagonist, who I am sorry if I'm not more prepared about this book. It's been a long time. In fact, I donated the book when I was done reading it. And actually, it's funny though, the first time I read it, I wasn't as interested, and I kind of stopped reading it and DNF'd it. Then one day, like when I started participating more in BookTube and doing TBRs and all that, I made sure to come back to it, and it became a book on my TBR. And at that time I was more into it. It still wasn't my favorite book. In fact, I have declined to continue reading it because it is a book in a trilogy. So unfortunately, I don't remember it that well. But and the singers kidnap our protagonist, believing that she is going to destroy the library and that help the singers become the powerful ones and, become gods and all that good stuff. And meanwhile, her friends from the library, her mentor and her her friend decides to go search for her and rescue her from the singers. And she is trying to teach some of the singers who she has kind of befriended how to read. But that's not a good idea. They think reading is bad and illiterate people aren't superior to them. And that's basically what it's about. And I think I feel like it would make a good animated series, and it kind of touches on prejudice and how both both music and work and books are of value, and how it's important, and neither one of them is far more superior than the other. And I just think I would love to see it as a cartoon. I mean, I would love to see it as a film or a TV show too, but so there's really no particular reason why I picked this one, except for the fact that I needed to pick one for a cartoon, and I just chose that one. I think it would make a great animated movie, a great animated or cartoon, and which can be both a TV show or a film. So either way, it would still be a television show or a film. Okay, so the next one that I only have one for is graphic novel. And I chose Wizard of Oz. Now, Frank L. Baum, the author of this book, wrote several other books. It's actually a series of stories. Like, there's The Marvelous Land of Oz, Dorothy and the Wizard and Oz. I can't remember the other titles. I have to look at, because I have another copy of this in one of those Barnes & Noble hardback editions. Those bigger, fancy ones that look like old-fashioned books. I have that one too, and that one actually has a list of at least 5 of the novels, because it's a collection, and it's an anthology of the first 5 novels. But there was actually more than 5. I think this would be a really great graphic novel. I mean, I think there already are graphic novel versions of the Wizard of Oz stories. And, like, I bought one at one of the conventions I went to. I bought a comic book. Of course, I didn't continue it. But I thought, I kind of wanted to continue it, but, it was kind of pricey for a comic book. So, I opted not to continue it, and I think, I don't know what happened to it, actually. I don't know if I still have it, and maybe it's packed away somewhere, or maybe it got thrown away, or I got donated. I don't know. But I never continued, and I never bought any more issues. And plus, it was one of these things where I buy online, and my mom usually helps me when I purchase things online, because that would mean, it means that you have to put your credit card online. It's just, neither one of us is comfortable with me doing that. So, she usually is the one that makes the purchases for me, and then takes money out of my account to pay for it. But I think like I said, there was already a graphic novel in the works for this series, for the series of books. And you don't have to worry about the limitations of screen adaptations, like time and special effects, all the technology you need and the money you need, and how when it comes to movies, most movies are 2 hours at the most. With a graphic novel, hi Sophie, with a graphic novel, or just a regular comic book, you can do so much, and you can add on to it, and like I said, you don't have to worry about all those limitations, and you can just continue the story. You can write one issue, and then you can continue the story in the next issue, and so on and so forth, and I think it'll be really a great graphic novel. Okay, so the next one I sent here is a play. And the one I picked is this one, The Traitor's Wife by Alison Pataki. This is historical fiction about how Benedict Arnold's wife, Peggy Arnold, was the one who actually orchestrated his actions when he betrayed America during the American Revolution. and how it was her idea in the first place, and how she kind of manipulated things and convinced him to join the British. And this is such a great book. It's mostly, I feel like, and there's not a lot of action. It's mostly characters talking with each other and walking through Philadelphia. Like, it doesn't even take place on the battlefield. It takes place in the city of Philadelphia, in like Peggy's birth home, and then the home she has with Benedict Arnold when they get married, and then there's another, and there's the servants' quarters, and then there's a secret house that they go meeting, and it's mostly characters talking. So I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to make it a play. I feel like you don't have to worry about special effects. You don't have to worry about elaborate, well, maybe a little bit elaborate sets. And it's just mostly actors, talking with each other. And, the locations are, people's houses and on the streets of Philadelphia. And there's a couple, like, places where there's, like, fields and a farmhouse. And so it wouldn't be that hard to do. And there's already a lot of screen adaptations based on this time period in history. And there's, like, the TV show Washington Spies. Part of the plot focuses on this story. Not this specific novel, but the story of Peggy Arnold and Benedict Arnold. It's like, it's a portion of the plot. So I didn't want to suggest it as a movie or as a TV show, because it's already been a TV show, and that's the same thing, and that's just a longer movie, essentially. So I felt like it would be, do something different with this kind of storyline, would be turn it into a play. So that's what I chose for my play. So those are the ones where I just have one option. Okay, so I have one more, and that is a musical, which is a play but with song and dance. And that one I don't have anymore, but the one I thought would be a great musical would be The School for Good and Evil, which, yes, I know is technically like 3 books. It's a trilogy. So, but there's no rule against playwrights writing like continuous, a part 2, like part 1, part 2, part 3. Or you could just make it a 3-hour musical, which, I don't know, people might not like it. It might get bored. But it's a musical. It's not like a play where you're mostly people talking. Musicals have more action, they're sometimes more exciting, and there's more passion with breaking down the song and whatnot. So, people might be okay with sitting through a 3-hour musical, as long as the music is good and interesting and fascinating. Like, there's some musicals that I think not everybody could sit through. But this also has magic involved, and, they made a play version of Cursed Child, and that was moderately successful. And then you have, well, actually, I don't know if it's moderately successful, because, it's in England, in America, so. And then you have, like, Wicked, plays like Wicked, or musicals like Wicked, that did really well, and they had a play version of The Wizard of Oz. So, a musical in the theater, they don't shy away from fantasy just because it has a lot of special effects and stuff. And this is crying out to be turned into a Disney musical. It's a perfect Disney musical. Most Disney musicals and Disney movies in general, like a lot of the Disney animated movies, not all of them, but a lot of them are based on fairy tales anyway, and that's what this book is about. It's about fairy tales and providing commentary on those fairy tales and the tropes that are involved in those stories, the tropes that people come up with, and like turning them on their head. And there's not like a lot of magic. It's mostly the kids in the classroom interacting, and there's characters being transformed into things and whatnot. But still, I think you could still do it, and it will be fun with song and dance numbers. And plus it's already been greenlighted to be. I think it has. I don't know if greenlighting is the right term, but it's already been, to be considered for a movie anyway. So, again, this is another one of those ones that you maybe you want to try something different. Instead of adapting it for the screen, you could adapt it for the stage. And so I think, and like I said, the only thing standing in the way is that it's a trilogy. There's, 3 parts. So, I mean, either they could make it just a 3-hour long musical, as long as there is Cats. Cats is considered, Cats is considered a 3-hour long musical, I think. I mean, I think that's literal. It literally is a 3-hour long musical. I don't know. But, and the music is beautiful, and I think that's why people are cool with it and everything. So if it has good music, and who doesn't, it could, I just think it would, it has potential. Despite the fact that it's a trilogy, I think it still has potential to be a musical. But it probably would be more successful being turned into a film or a TV show, which is, possibly happening. But I haven't heard a lot. I just heard that it might happen, and they're in the process of casting, I think. But with these things, you don't know how long they're going to take, especially if it's fantasy. Okay, so now on to the ones that I actually have a lot more choices. And that is film and television. Because like I said, I feel like there are a lot of ones that could be turned into... There are a lot of books that haven't been greenlighted yet, or haven't been considered, that could be a film or a TV show. So the first one I want to say is Kate Morden's The Secret Keeper. This is so beautiful, and it gives you such an elaborate descriptions. Not like Lord of the Rings elaborate with all the really detailed descriptions, but so it's something you can easily picture. And they already have a lot of historical fiction being adapted. So all of Jane Austen's works are adapted. Well, I think all of them, maybe not all of them. I don't know. But it's such a beautiful story, and I would love to see it on the screen and act it out, whether it's like a TV movie, well, preferably a major motion picture, not just a TV movie, or at least a miniseries, because miniseries are essentially like major motion pictures, except for they have a smaller budget. I feel like it's kind of in between a TV movie and a major motion picture, where I feel like it has the same feel, but it's made for TV, and it's a lot longer than a major motion picture. But I feel like it's such a beautiful story, and it's about topics that we, and it's set during the London Blitz, and it's full of mystery and intrigue, and and there's so much you could. It's just, I feel like it would, just take my word. I feel like it would, any of Kate Morden's works, which actually I have another one of her works, which let me just go ahead. Another one for the film. This is The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morden as well. This was the first one of her books I fell in love with. The Secret Keeper was the second one of hers that I fell in love with. And she actually finally finished a manuscript for another book. So I am very excited about that another one for books is coming out. But this one is like another great one that love and family and the importance of family. And again, it's just another one that you can really just picture. And, I would love for someone to be casted for these to play, give it more tangible, instead of just using my imagination, a more tangible image of the characters. You actually physically see it. And plus, there's, seeing the garden that she comes across would be so beautiful on screen. Just like it would be just like in the movie Secret Garden, in the book and movie Secret Garden. Where it's just beautiful with the beautiful music and, gives you all these warm and fuzzy feelings. And, any of Kate Morden's books I would love to see. I think I've read all of them so far, except for the one that she just finished the manuscript for. The one that isn't published yet, obviously. But all her books, I feel like they would be great as movies or even miniseries. They're such beautiful stories, and you can really picture with the way she writes what's going on. Okay, so the next one I think would be a great film is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I mean, this book has so much atmosphere and so much magic. It's not a lot. I mean, it's not like an epic fantasy like Harry Potter, but and I would love to actually physically see the circus itself with all the food and all the acts, all these people that are performing these amazing things and the magic. And it would be so cool to actually physically see it. And the way it's described, you can taste it, you can see it, you can smell it in your imagination. And in fact, from the Problems of Book Nerds, Cece and Janelle talked about how this would also make a great theme park too, with the circus and everything. And it just, I just would love to see this on film. I would love to see the circus and everything, and it would be so amazing. So all three of those books I just mentioned, they're all very atmospheric, and both Erin Morgenstern and Kate Morton are so good with describing things and helping you get lost in the story and really picture and taste and smell and feel all this world that they've created surrounding you. And I would just love for it to actually physically, not just using my own mind, but actually have someone create it for me, so that I actually have a visual. That's why I love movies and TV shows. That's why it's my second favorite form of storytelling. Because, yes, I'm all for the importance of books and using and exercising your own mind and your own imagination. And it really does help you learn things and become, my mom and dad where I work, there's a trivia night there. And I will go with my dad on Tuesday night. It will be tomorrow actually, because we just moved here, so there's not a lot, I do around here. So it's something to do. And, my mom and dad were telling, and I sometimes, on a handful of times, I've gotten correct answers. I made correct guesses, or because I remember learning about that. And my mom will say, seriously, that she feels like the reason why I am able to help my dad and sometimes get correct answers with the trivia questions is because I do read a lot. Which, it's kind of funny, though, because I read more fiction than nonfiction. But, there was a question about, in Oprah's book club about they showed a picture of, a famous Jewish person who won a Nobel Prize. And I actually got it right because I remember reading the book Night in freshman year, I think. And he's the only famous Jewish person that I know of that could have potentially won a Nobel Prize, and I was right. Elie Wiesel. So, and that comes from remembering the book and everything. And there's other times that I've remembered things that are referencing to books and stuff. So I think it's, but I think it's just as important to have a screen adaptation. Because yes, it's important to be able to exercise your mind and really picture what's going on, but it's also nice to have someone create the world, bring it all to life physically for you. So you might potentially have a place to go instead of just opening the book and reading the words on the page. You actually will have a physical place to go to, or you actually have someone in your mind that you can picture. Of course, that's kind of ironic that I say that, because most people are usually not entirely contented with whoever's cast in the part of their favorite character. But it gives you a nice little visual. Okay, so next, the last one that I think would make great film is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is the origin story of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And who doesn't love an origin story of a villain? because it's so fascinating because it definitely explains what's going on, why the villain is the way they are. That is why the villain is the way why the villain are. I don't have what the grammatically correct way of saying that phrase. Why this person is the way they are. It sound entirely correct, but why the villain is the way they are. They are. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. But it explains everybody loves that. And a lot of people, Alice in Wonderland and Alice in the Looking Glass is one of their favorite children's fairy tales. And this is just, and it'll be so awesome. I mean, this was such a great book. So it has, again, another book with great, beautiful atmosphere. And I think I would love to, like all the other ones I just said, it would be great to see this on screen. Have a tangible image. I mean, we already have things like, Tim Burton came out with his 2 movies, and we did get a little bit of a backstory. But I mean, this backstory is different. It's not the same thing as that backstory. In fact, she's not even related to the White Queen. Like in this story, where the White Queen lives is a separate kingdom. It's a separate part. It's not part of the world where the Queen of Hearts lives. But it would just be such a great story to see on screen and see all the characters come to life, and I just see it all unfold. I think it would be really cool. And so yeah, Heartless is the last one I think would make a great film. Okay, so the next one is television. One that I would love to see made into television series. And first, the one I said was actually one that's already been a film. It's been, it's an old one. It's been out for a while. And, the film series ended, like, years ago. But I feel like the problem with the films is they were great, and they were their own thing, and they were awesome, and I'm glad, and I really do appreciate that we had them in the first place. I mean, it's awesome that someone did it. But as the films progressed, because the books got longer as the series progressed, it just wasn't, the movies weren't as good. They didn't, because they were condensed. They had to take out a lot of stuff. And they changed things. Like, they've changed a lot of characters and their characterizations. I mean, they tried to stay as close and as true as possible. I feel like because Hollywood has an idea of what, of how it should be, how certain things should be, how certain characters should be perceived, that they change the characters a little bit for the screen because they think they'll be more appealing. And that, I am talking about the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I think this would have been made better as a TV show. Now, of course, there are a lot of reasons why it ended up being made into a movie, I'm sure. Like, movies, I think, you get a lot more money, at least at the time. And they have a bigger budget, so a lot of the special effects that were required for this series, that the movie industry would have a lot more money to do them. And I guess, J.K. Rowling maybe this was the first offer she got, was a movie by Warner Brothers. But, there's so much that got left out. And like I said, the character I was referring to is, I feel like they changed the character of Hermione. Like, she's a little more annoying and more of a know-it-all and more of a complex, interesting character. Not that she's lost the complexity in the movies, but I feel like in the movies they tried to make her more likable, because in the book she can be seen as annoying. And I feel like, sorry, I know that probably sounded really gross, but I still have my cold. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like there were a lot of things that they couldn't do because of the limitations of movies, of film, that I feel like if they had made it into a TV show, then yeah, it would have been more successful. or not necessarily successful, because it was extremely successful as a movie, and people still love the movies. So successful isn't the right. I think it would have been better than it was. Not that it wasn't amazing before. It's just I think a TV show would have done a better job. But I mean, although the first couple of movies were great. Well, the third one was a little iffy for me, but the first two movies were really good. But they are kind of, I think, the shortest books in the series, so they were a little bit easier to adapt than the rest of the series. But I mean, I'm glad they adapted the whole series into a movie. Because, like, The Golden Compass and Aragon, both of them, the movies did not do well because now, I don't remember the books that well, so I don't know myself personally, but from what I've heard, the movies and the books did not, the movies for those two books did not stay true to the books, and they changed it way too much, so people were not pleased with the results. So they never continued and made the rest of the series into movies. So I was kind of disappointed. But so I am grateful that this one, that despite the fact that the movies, as the series progressed, and maybe that's why, maybe it's because the first two movies were great, but the rest of the movies weren't that great, but they figured we're still in it, we may as well continue it. Because they were still really successful. But like I said, I feel like you can elaborate more with a TV show, and it's just that movies have bigger budgets. So it's just, there's a lot of things in the series that I guess probably do better than on film as far as special effects are concerned. But I feel like this would make a great TV show rather than a movie. But the movies were great. Okay, so the next one that I think would make a great one are The Lunar Chronicles by another Marissa Meyer's book. This is a 4-part series, and it's only 4 parts, so it's not like, Sarah J. Maas or Harry Potter, their series. Sarah J. Maas series or J.K. Rowling series, where they're, you could take each one of them and turn them into a movie. Television show. Again, television show. You could really elaborate with a TV show, and each season could focus on each book, or you could just, or even you could even not necessarily you don't necessarily have to do it like that, but you could do it other ways and elaborate, each season, or you could focus on all 4 girls and just really do more. And you have, like, the other books, like, you have Wires of Nerve, the graphic novels, you have Ferris, the prequel, and you got Stars Above. So you can include all that, and then you could elaborate more on it. So, again, just like Harry Potter with the TV series, you could do so much more with a TV series. It's just the budget. That's the only problem, I feel like. But maybe there's other problems, I don't know. And then, also you have, I'm trying to go a little faster with this because this video is getting really long, and that is the Fallen Kingdom series. Now, I've only read the first 3 books, but it's such a great series, and it kind of reminds, and as it says, it's kind of like a YA version of the Game of Thrones series. So if that one can be successful, I'm sure if you do this series right, this could be successful. But I would say more for a CW show or something. Okay, so the last one I have here is, where is it? Did I forget it? Oh wait, no I didn't. This is actually the second book in this series because it's actually gonna be more than a trilogy. But that is the ACOTAR series. This is, like I said, this is the second one, A Court of Mist and Fury. This is such an elaborate, great world. And again, I'm using that word a lot, but it's true. I feel like the perfect word to explain why books should be made into TV shows is because with TV, you can elaborate. I mean, I know that with, in TV shows, the budgets are kind of small, although I've heard with The Big Bang Theory, those actors are making a lot of money. But, you know, with a TV show, you have more time. You can make 10 to 22 episodes in a season. And you could just really drag out the plot. And you could focus on things that you couldn't focus on with a movie. And you wouldn't be limited with time. You know, and each episode could be focused on a certain chapter or a few chapters in the book. So I think this is another one that, since there's so much packed in this series, and she's not even done with it yet. So yeah, I think this one would make a great TV show as well. So that is my wishlist adaptation tag. I will post the link to the original creator of this tag. And if you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Bye!